In the Lehigh Valley, concern is growing over the mysterious disappearance of a mother of three. Jessica Padet was last seen leaving her job at the Duck Duck Goose daycare in Northampton, Lehigh County. She was on the way to send a fax at the distinctive fence company when she vanished.
Not that police are elaborating on at this point. They won't tell us how they think that Jessica's car ended up in a parking lot halfway between that daycare and the place she was going, her father or stepfather's place of business. The district attorney says that right now investigators are on high alert, that this is not a standard missing person case.
Jessica Padet was 33 years old, a mother of three and recently remarried. Friends described her new marriage as something genuinely good in her life. She worked at Duck Duck Goose Day Care Center in Northampton, where she was known as warm, patient, and dependable. She was also close to her family, especially her mother and stepfather, Gregory Graph. Graph had been in her life since childhood. Jessica had openly written on social media that she loved both her dads. November 21st, 2014. Jessica dropped off her son and arrived at work on time. Nothing about her behavior suggested anything was wrong. Then Gregory Graph called. He said he needed help at the property, her mother's home, with a fax machine and computer issue. Jessica's mother was in Florida. She told coworkers she would be back shortly. Around 1 p.m., she called her husband for a brief check-in. Jessica left work and drove to her mother and stepfather's property. When Jessica failed to return, coworkers began calling her phone. It went straight to voicemail. They contacted her husband, who retraced the route she would have taken. Eventually, he arrived at a Dollar General parking lot about a mile from the daycare. Jessica's white Subaru Outback was there, unlocked. Her cell phone sat on the seat. Her belongings remained inside. There were no signs of a struggle or forced entry. Jessica herself was gone.
Not that police are elaborating on at this point. They won't tell us how they think that Jessica's car ended up in a parking lot halfway between that daycare and the place she was going, her father or stepfather's place of business. The district attorney says that right now investigators are on high alert, that this is not a standard missing person case.
Her husband called police. The missing persons investigation began immediately. Officers searched the area, interviewed witnesses, and reviewed anything that might explain why Jessica's car had been abandoned. Nobody had seen her leave it. By that evening, a Facebook page titled "Find Jessica Padet" had gathered thousands of followers.
In the Lehigh Valley, concern is growing over the mysterious disappearance of a mother of three. Jessica Padet was last seen leaving her job at the Duck Duck Goose daycare in Northampton, Lehigh County. She was on the way to send a fax at the distinctive fence company when she vanished. NBC 10 Lehigh Valley Bureau reporter Randy Gyllenhaal tells us what's being done to find her.
Across the Lehigh Valley, these missing persons flyers were popping up on street signs and storefronts. A newlywed young mother of three vanished suddenly. Now her family's searching for answers.
Search parties moved through the November darkness with flashlights while tips flooded in. Jessica's mother flew home from Florida as soon as she learned her daughter was missing. She returned to a community searching for Jessica and a husband who claimed he had no idea what had happened. Then she started paying attention. Jessica's mother watched her son-in-law closely. Graph had never approved of him, often suggesting Jessica chose the wrong men. But now the man Graph criticized looked devastated. He barely slept, constantly contacted investigators, retraced routes, and searched for answers anywhere he could find them. His grief was visible. Then she watched her husband. Graph attended searches and said the right things, but his calmness unsettled her. As the search continued, investigators reconstructed Jessica's final movements through surveillance footage from gas stations, intersections, and parking lots. They located Jessica's Subaru on CCTV. But the direction of travel immediately stood out. She was not driving toward the Dollar General. She was heading toward the outskirts of town, toward the Graph property. That raised a critical question. If Jessica drove toward her stepfather's house, why was her car later found near her workplace? Someone had moved it. Investigators also spotted a pickup truck in the same area and time frame. It matched a vehicle registered to Gregory Graph. The timeline was beginning to form. Police interviewed Graph early in the investigation. He appeared calm and cooperative. He claimed he had not seen Jessica that day and had no idea where she was. When investigators asked about the phone calls made to Jessica that morning, Graph admitted contacting her about a broken fax machine, but she didn't came to his house. Investigators then spoke to his employees. The fax machine had never been broken. There had been no malfunction at all. The story that brought Jessica to the property was false. When questioned about the truck seen on surveillance footage, Graph offered practical explanations. He lived nearby. Driving those roads was normal for him. His answers were careful and precise, addressing only what investigators already knew. He still appeared cooperative, but investigators were beginning to see the cracks. 5 days into the investigation, police executed a formal search of the Graph property in Allen Township. Inside the house, investigators found blood evidence, including a bloody tissue and blood staining on surfaces. Graph claimed the blood came from hunting activity. Forensic testing proved otherwise. The blood belonged to Jessica Padet. Officers expanded the search outside. Behind a shed, in recently disturbed soil, they found Jessica's body. She had been buried on the same property she drove to that Friday afternoon. She had never left. While volunteers searched fields and shared her name online, Jessica had been buried behind the house the entire time. Gregory Graph had been sleeping there every night. Confronted with the evidence, Graph confessed. He admitted the fax machine story was a lie created to lure Jessica to the property because he knew she would come if he asked for help.
Major development in the search for a missing woman in our area. The DA is now calling the disappearance a criminal case.
Jessica arrived at the house. When she was busy in her work, he shot her at the back of her head. What followed showed clear planning, not panic. He drove Jessica's car to the gas station captured on CCTV, adjusted the driver's seat, left her cell phone behind, and abandoned the vehicle at the Dollar General to stage the disappearance. Then he returned to the property and set up cameras. And he raped Jessica's dead body. Investigators later recovered 18 recordings from Graph's computer, documenting the sexual assault of Jessica's body. Throughout the recordings, he directed abusive and degrading language toward her. Her face had been wrapped in plastic. After burying her behind the shed, Graph returned to the searches, the Facebook page, and the community looking for her.
Well, breaking news right now, and it is tragic news from Northampton County. A woman who has been missing since last week has now been found dead.
Eyewitness News reporter Matt Rivers is live in Easton tonight with breaking details. Matt.
Chris and Jessica, it was just moments ago that Northampton County District Attorney John Morganelli laid out the case against 53-year-old Gregory Graph, the stepfather of that missing woman, 33-year-old Jessica Padet. It was on Friday that officials say Paget went to the home of Graph to send a fax, and that's where a confrontation occurred.
During an interview with the investigators, he did admit that he intentionally and knowingly caused the death of the victim at his home. He related that he utilized a firearm to cause the victim's death, and that he then took the victim's body and disposed of it on his property.
We're devastated by the loss of Jessica. She was a beautiful, vibrant young woman who was beloved by her family and friends. The world shines less bright today.
It's unreal. You know, what he did is kind of unspeakable, unforgivable.
And police say that Gregory Graph is in the process of being arraigned as we speak. The district attorney says this case could become a capital murder case if during the course of an autopsy it is discovered that a sexual assault did in fact take place during the course of Jessica Paget's murder.
District Attorney John Morganelli later stated, his possible motive was to have a sexual relationship with the body. The fax machine had worked the entire time. He never needed her help. He needed her there.
53-year-old Gregory Graph on Covered Bridge Road in Allen Township. Tonight, Graph is in state police custody, charged with criminal homicide. Police say Graph has admitted to police that he killed Paget, a mother of 3. Police say Graph took part in the volunteer searches for his missing stepdaughter, but his statements to police never added up, and early on the investigation focused on him. Police searched his home yesterday. Graph was brought in today, and police say he gave them indications as to where Paget's body might be.
My name is John Morganelli, District Attorney for Northampton County. We're here today regarding the disappearance of Jessica Lynn Paget. The investigation in this case by the state police, I will say early on, focused on Mr. Graph because of inconsistent statements that he was giving with respect to his activities that day did not correspond with the investigation information that was being developed by state police. On Monday, when I was there meeting with the investigators who did an excellent job on this case, I was informed of some of these inconsistencies, and further inconsistencies were developed over the next 48 hours. And during an interview with the investigators, he did admit that he intentionally and knowingly caused the death of the victim at his home. He related that he utilized a firearm to cause the victim's death, and that he then took the victim's body and disposed of it on his property. He, as I indicated, is now been charged. He's in custody of the Pennsylvania State Police. There's definitely a sex angle to this crime. That is still being developed in terms of the particular nature of it. But based on what the investigators have learned, there's clearly some motive that involves a sexual assault, I would call it.
There was no indication that she had any type of relationship with him that was other than, congenial or good. She had worked for him at some point and had access to his house.
November 2015. 1 year later, Gregory Graph stood trial. His defense did not argue innocence. Instead, attorney John McMahon Jr. claimed Graph had suddenly snapped and was not acting with premeditation. Prosecutors dismantled that argument point by point. Graph had repeatedly called Jessica to lure her to the property. He staged her vehicle, set up cameras, buried her body, attended search parties, monitored the Facebook page, and stood beside Jessica's grieving mother while pretending to help. Every step was deliberate. The jury returned guilty verdicts for first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. Graph received life in prison without parole. When Jessica's husband addressed the court, he focused not on Graph, but on Jessica. He spoke about the small daily things that made her a mother and partner. The routines, the presents, the parts of family life her children would now grow up missing. He spoke about marrying her only 3 months earlier and losing her to someone she had trusted since childhood. When he finished speaking, the courtroom sat in silence.
There's no one person that took a hit on this. We all did. The entire community did. So the only thing we can do is help each other, pick each other up, and just try to keep on moving forward. I mean, you just have to just read about it a little bit, and you see it impacted not just a family, but an entire community. Even not even Northampton, not even Whitehall, but just out of state, just everywhere and everybody. It's just everyone that she ever talked to or ever touched or ever had contact with. That she was a beautiful person. She was my best friend. She was the mother of my children. She was my wife. She's the only girl I've ever loved. It's just one of those. It's hard sometimes because, as a parent, you don't want your children to be sad and upset, but in the other chance, you want them to remember. So it's just, every now and then you just sit back and you talk and you remember and you tell stories. I have my daughter's about her size, so now she's wearing her clothing, you know what I mean? So every day I get to watch her jump down the steps wearing a t-shirt or a sweatshirt that I used to see her wear every single day, or a pair of pants and stuff. And it is nice. It really is. It's nice seeing that, every now and then it's like, hey, I remember her wearing that. Those are some of the good positive things that I get to experience every day at least.
Gregory Graph is serving a life sentence without parole in a Pennsylvania State Correctional Facility. Jessica Padet was 33 years old, a mother of 3, a new wife, a woman who drove to her parents' house on a Friday afternoon because her stepfather asked for help with a fax machine. The Lehigh Valley has not forgotten her.